Asking for a critique is a great way to improve your art, but there is a right way and a wrong way to ask for a critique if you want to get the most helpful advice. Hey, Walter here, doing what I can to make comics easier because it shouldn't be overwhelming or daunting to tell your story. I make videos about comics and art, so if that's something you're into, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now, asking for a critique isn't as simple as what can I do better, because the answer to that is everything. Everything you can do can be better. Everything I do with art can be better. Everything your favorite artist does could be better. And so I would have to list out everything to answer that question, and it's just too much. It makes me not want to do a critique at all, and that's why we start getting that general advice that all of us have heard. Study anatomy, do more gesture drawings, learn perspective. That stuff isn't helpful. So if you want to actually get helpful information, you need to ask your question in a different way. The way to get better critiques or advice is by narrowing the focus of your ask. Let us know what you're currently struggling with or can't figure out. What is it about this drawing that is bugging you? That allows us to focus in and narrow down on that and give you advice specifically for that. Like, how do I make this hair look more like hair? How do I make this pose look less rigid? What can I do with the lighting? How do I make this composition better? What's wrong with this perspective? Those are narrow focus questions that we can give direct answers to and help you in a more useful way, as opposed to just throwing out some general advice that we've heard all the time. Actually, the more information that you can give me about you will also be helpful. Like, if you want to focus on making kids books, then anatomy probably isn't as important. Or if you want to make comic books, then I'm going to focus more on storytelling advice versus like anatomy advice or perspective advice, because, you know, comics are all about storytelling. Kids books are all about making interesting characters and not so much about anatomy. The same thing goes for when you're asking for advice. Don't ask a general question like, how do I become a comic book creator? Because I'm just going to answer, make comics. It's super obvious, and it's also super unhelpful. How do I become a writer? Write stories. It's not helpful. It's not actionable. So you need to ask like specific questions like, hey, I want to work for Marvel. Can you take a look at my portfolio and let me know what you think? Or if I want to be a character designer for Blizzard, like something specific, like I want to do this, I'm doing this, like what can I do better to achieve that goal? Now, once people have gotten their critique, there is a tendency to get defensive, which is natural. I think you're kind of being attacked with a critique, and so it's natural to put your defenses up, and this usually comes in the form of that's how it was in the script, or that's what it looked like in the reference photo, or that's my style. And there is no better way to make me feel like I wasted my time for you to take everything I just gave you, spent my time, my thoughts on, and just to throw it back in my face. So definitely don't do that. It's going to make me want to never help you again, because I don't think you're listening to me. And the other important thing to think about with critiques is make sure you're ready to get a critique and you're not just looking for someone to boost your ego. Be ready for negative thoughts. When I give critiques, I try to think about the positive. I try to think about what is actually working in there so that you know what's good. But sometimes I just don't have the time, and I just want to give you things that I think you can work on. So it's not always going to have positive stuff. I try to be positive, but like I said, when you ask for a critique, be ready to kind of get torn down a little bit. That's what the critique is there for. Tears you down, lets you build yourself back up better and stronger, like RoboCop, except you're an artist, so you're like robo artist, I guess. Now, that's not to say that you can't question the critique I give. Like, if that's how it was in the script, you can let me know that's how it was in the script and that you couldn't quite figure out how to work with that, and I can give you advice based on that, what to do when the script looks like that. Or if you have a reference photo that you used, it's super helpful to also include the reference photo so that we can see what things you were doing, what things were different in the reference photo. If you just tell me that's what it was in the reference photo, I can't really do anything at that point. I can't help you. I can't see what you're seeing or what you saw wrong or what parts got twisted around. So yeah, you can question, you can ask, but don't just, give a dead flat answer to what I just said. That's nothing we can work with. There's no place for us to go at that point. I also said be ready for a critique. Now, sometimes some people are just going to be mean. And the only thing you can really do there is just see if there's any tidbits of helpful information between the lines of just nastiness, and then just ignore those people, ignore what's going on in their life, what problems they have, why they're being mean. Just try to get the helpful information and ignore the rest. I know that can be hard, but that's just the reality of putting your stuff online. There are some mean people out there. Just ignore them, pay attention to getting better at art, pay attention to the helpful people, ignore the rest. In line with this are unsolicited critiques, which I personally think is a no-no. This is where somebody gives some advice when nobody actually asked them for it. Now, if there's an artist out there that you really, really like, and there's something that they could tweak and maybe do better, and that would make a huge difference, then reach out to them privately and let them know your thoughts, but don't message them in the common comments and just put them on blast. That's really not cool. Some people aren't in a place where they want to hear that stuff. So it's better to ask them and see if they're okay with listening to you. And if they say no, don't take it personally. You know, some people just don't need to hear it. Some people aren't in a place where they want to improve, and they're just happy doing their thing, doing it their way, and that's good enough for them. And who are we to question that? And this is kind of a pet peeve for me. We're all artists. We know how hard it is to make art. So why would any artist want to crap on some other artist's art? Like, it's hard to make art. So why multiply that by just crapping on somebody else's artwork? Like I said, this is a pet peeve of mine. You know, do your thing. But I would say, you know, we don't have to crap on other people's art. Yeah, we can analyze their art, see what they're doing, what we like, what we don't like, but there's no reason to crap on it. Like, we're all humans, we all have feelings. Even if somebody is a professional, full-time, successful artist, they have feelings too. We don't need to crap on their art. All right, so that's how you ask for a critique and get more helpful, more actionable advice from creators. Now, how many of you are actually asking for critiques in this way, and how many are doing the kind of random shotgun, overarching, impossible to answer questions? Let me know in the comments, and if you want to help support me and these videos, please be sure to share this with whoever will actually listen to you. And if you want to keep making comics easier, be sure to like, link, love, hug, and hit that sub button for more sweet, sweet goodness. Peace.